Lizzie Lassiter here. Hi, yogis. Welcome to our new moon male class. Hopefully, you're watching this because you're subscribed to our new moon mail, which is really one email per month with a full length yoga class from us delivered to you on the new moon because the new moon is a great time to recommit to our practice. Here's the website in case you aren't subscribed: www.lassiter.yoga. I've also included the link below on the YouTube description. Our class today is called Inviting Stillness. Just when I hear those two words together, my physical body relaxes. Inviting stillness. What follows now is an excerpt from Mama Judith Hanson Lassiter teaching inside of our Magic of Sequencing course. This was a live practice we did this week on Zoom. It's a 3-pose sequence given to you in full here in just a moment. We start with a gentle supported back bend, and then an elevated legs up the wall, and then a shavasana. If you want to learn more about restorative yoga, highly recommend that you buy Mama's book, Restore and Rebalance. The poses are detailed in here. You can also go to her website, judith.yoga. That's the shortcut that gets you there to learn more about her teaching. And if you liked this class, you might want to enroll in our Magic of Sequencing course, which you can find here, Lassiter.yoga. One thing I'll say before we move to the practice: restorative yoga, inviting stillness, is about downshifting. We live our lives, I live my life in a very upregulated, stimulated state, incoming on my phone, in my real life, emotional roller coasters, my hormonal cycle roller coaster, all the things that contribute to upregulating my nervous system. In restorative yoga, we are consciously, on purpose, downregulating the nervous system. In that shifting space from upregulated towards downregulating, moving towards parasympathetic dominance, in that space of transition, there can be some discomfort, some entering into the unknown, experiencing an unusual sensation of silence, stillness. That's part of the practice. We are so used to constant stimulation, constant dopamine hits from scrolling on social media, etc., from the collapsing of our desire and our receiving of what it is that we want. We can order instantly things to be delivered to our home same day, the next day, etc. When we enter into the space of restorative yoga, we are on purpose entering into this field of unknown. We're crossing over to the other side. Be gentle, be tender, be slow with yourself. When discomfort arises in the practice, as it may come, just the unusualness of not consuming or producing anything for a few minutes. And now we'll move with Mama to the mat, inviting stillness. So what I've been practicing with recently is a double mat. That's just what you're seeing here. I have 2 yoga mats pushed up next to each other because it's cold here in Austria, and it feels so nice to have this big space to be padded. So 1 blanket back bend, as most of you know, I'm guessing you fold the blanket once, and then 2 blanket back bend, you stack them right on top of each other. I think these are pose number 8 in Restore and Rebalance, if I'm remembering correctly. And then you want to have an eye cover nearby. 3 blanket back bend is a rolled endeavor, a rolled situation. You fold 1/3 of the way and then roll, and you make 3 rolls exactly like that, and hang yourself over. I'm going to choose for my body today 2 blanket back bend. So I'm going to put like this, and I make sure that I'm really seated.
I want to make sure that you see that the firmest ends of the blanket are at that side. The smooth end, the loose end is more toward her pelvis. Okay.
And something to emphasize for yourself and for your students is really that you're sitting on the floor. You're not sitting on the blankets as you come back. Oh. And then finding that place where the pelvis is heavy, the feet are wide, the knees are together. Ooh, what I'm going to do, because I have that luxury, I'm going to put a sandbag on my knees. You can also put a blanket, a heavy blanket on your knees. A little bit of weight can feel really nice in this pose.
Would you say, Lizzie, something about the placement of the shoulder blades in that in this pose?
Yes. This, the way I think of it is that my shoulder blades are just touching the blankets and then they're sliding off and down. But my shoulders, what we kind of call the shoulders colloquially, are not heavy on the ground. There's a lightness of the way the rib cage comes down onto the yoga mat.
And you see seven, your big vertebra at the base of your neck is not on the floor, right?
No, it's completely lifted up. There's a
It's
quality of
not
being,
on the floor. So I want you to look at something. I want you to see how her pubic bone is lower than her ribs. So her pubic bone is turning toward the feet. It is, she's not lying on the blanket. So can you show what we don't like? I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know you're so anxious to be in this pose. You're not flat like that. You're in an arch. It's, yes, the pelvis moves toward the femurs. It's just like the initiation, ironically, paradoxically, interestingly, of a forward bend where the pubic bone moves toward the, the legs. Like if you're standing up and doing uttanasana, you're standing up doing uttanasana and you start the movement, the pubic bone is moving. We saw this today toward the legs. That's what's happening. The pelvis tips away because this is a back bend. If you don't feel that you have space for your pelvis to almost hang or hang in literally and your C7 to hang, then your blankets are too thin. It is you're draped like you drape let's say you have a throw on your couch that you cover up with something. You drape it over the arm of the couch. So it's the high point is sort of exactly where the colors change on her shirt, where you see the lower ribs and the diaphragm is in the middle of the two blankets, and that's the high point, and you're hanging in both directions. So I'm going to leave you there.
I'm just going to adjust slightly so that my hands do. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you there for a few minutes so that you can enjoy this pose in silence. And it's a paradoxical moment in which the belly and the heart are open, but we invite the brain to be an introvert, to go back down and in. So let your brain just imagine that it's moving back and being cradled in the back of the skull. And with that, swoop in the energy of thought away from the brain just behind the forehead, the whole frontal cortex. Soften your face. And the arms are like rivers that flow from the heart. And you're still standing on your feet on the earth, but you're opening your belly to living in this present moment. And I will ring the bells for you soon. Lightly and slowly feel the shape of your body. Notice the stillness. Slide off slightly in the direction of your head and roll roll to the side of choice. Let your head be the last, almost the last part of you to come up. Begin to walk back with your hands.
Mm.
Lizzie, what is your choice? Would you like to take a question about that pose now before we move to the next one? Or
I
no?
think we should stay in the restorative brain
Mode.
space
Okay. We can take questions at the end.
if we have time, yes.
We will. How are you?
I've been having some, I was in Senegal for a week and I've been having some diarrhea since I came back. And I wasn't sure if this was going to feel good, but that openness felt so good on my low belly.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you have more color in your face.
Yeah.
All right. Elevated legs up the wall. Elevated legs, you can, I don't know, I wasn't thinking, I was just thinking of simple legs up the wall. So pad the heels, put a belt.
And with a bolster under the pelvis,
If you,
or
yeah,
no?
yeah, you mean you want Viparita Karani, not just legs up the wall.
Yeah, I think that
All
would
right,
feel
let's do
good,
that.
no?
All right, let's
Okay,
do that.
I'll remove your spotlight. And Mom, do you remember how to mute me? Would you mute me once we start the pose?
I don't remember.
Okay, you have to go to participants and or you can just go to hover over my square where my face is, and there's a blue three dots on the upper
Yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then
All
you
right.
can click mute.
Yeah, yeah, got it.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to move my mat to the wall and I'll show two variations, one with the bolster and one without, depending on what's happening with your body. Esther wanted to
Not
know.
not recommended if you're more than 3 months pregnant, lying on your back and for a long period of time, and not recommended in the menstrual period. You try an alternative.
Esther is asking Mom, where is the chin pointing in the pose we just did?
It's a slight back bend, so the chin is slightly lifted because the neck follows the rest of the neck always echoes the rest of the spine. Basically, the pelvis determines neck position.
Oh, that's an interesting way of saying it.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I'm choosing my rectangular bolster for this, and I'm putting it a little bit away from the wall. It's basically the same setup, just without the bolster. If you want to do a very simple version, you can just lie down and put the legs up the wall, or you can have the bolster. If you have the bolster, then use a blanket folded lengthwise this way. And there's a blanket here to pad my heels. I have my eye cover available. I have my sandbag, which I'm going to put for weight on top of my legs. I'm also going to show the strap variation. Most people have a yoga strap.
But I want to take the opportunity now to say I don't recommend putting a sandbag on your abdomen in this pose. The reason is because you're opening the belly and the sand energetically and literally, and the sandbag inhibits that opening.
Yeah.
We can show a
Okay.
sandbag on the belly in the next pose.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm putting the strap, and remember the strap is just, I think of it as keeping my legs from falling apart, not from
Yes,
not trying to hold them together.
it's not pulling the legs together. It's disallowing them from falling out.
Yeah.
And she's
And
putting
then,
now, this is really important, over her heels on the wall.
yeah. And then I'm doing the sandbag because I love that. Great grounding, great for jet lag.
Yeah. I don't teach this in classes anymore because
Hmm.
it's tricky getting out. And once a sandbag fell off someone, it didn't hit anyone, but I realized that there is a danger there. So, you know what, Lizzie?
Hmm.
It would be really nice if you took that other bolster and put it behind your legs on a
Okay.
block.
What's two more props?
Well, if you've got them, use them. Like,
Okay, so okay, I'm putting a block here and then another bolster. This is gonna support any kind of tendency towards hyperextension in this pose.
yes,
And I'm adjusting, I'm giving myself a tiny bit more space. It's a little bit of a guessing game as you come in.
life is a guessing game.
Exactly. Gonna do the special dog rollover trick.
You like?
And a tiny bit more space.
Yeah, you need a little more space. Someone wants to know if those are Manduka bolsters.
They they are hugger mugger. And if you go to lizzielasseter.com/props, I think there's a link there. There's definitely one if you go to lizzielasseter.com/rest. I've included that mat because I love this mat, and they actually gave them to us. So I'm happy to promote. Um, this is the mat they gave me, and the other one is the mat they gave mom, which I snuck. Well, I
Bamboozled
didn't say
out of me.
bamboozled out of you is a good way of putting it
That's a great word. I don't know how to translate bamboozled.
into
It
other
sort of
language.
means,
Yeah.
because I know that not everyone here's native language is English. So bamboozled, if you don't know that word, it means you kind of, in a way that the other person doesn't realize it, manipulate them into doing something. So you're not forcing them, but you're acting really entertaining or sweet, or and you just sort of lead them down this path where they just get the idea that you should have it. They're
Yeah.
bamboozled me out of it. Oh, Lizzie, that looks so good.
Okay, but I took out I didn't like the sandbag anymore with this setup but this feels really nice.
All right, so we're going to stay a while. If you need to come out, please come out. And I'm going to go off video and off sound. But I'm here. I'm holding the space. That's one of the things we do as teachers, especially in restorative, is we stay present and we hold the space, the sacredness, the sanctity of the space of practice. So, and I like to pay attention uh, to see if any of my students need something during the pose, or I'm holding the psychic space, the virtual yoga mat, the virtual yoga studio we have now, and all is well. Let the props hold you completely. So you are held by the props. You are held by the floor. You are held by your great Hanuman servant of the body. And you are held mostly by the unknown benevolence of the present moment. When our legs are elevated, we're letting go of standing. We're letting go of walking. We're letting go of moving. We are letting go, especially deeply, of the urge to be somewhere else. Inhale the breath. And exhale. Slowly bend your knees and roll to the side of choice. And sit up. You have invited stillness. We've come to that time in our lives where we're going to practice shavasana. And we're going to do Stonehinge. So, Lizzie, would you teach?
Yes, with pleasure. Avec plaisir. I see that Jyoti's asking, where's Lizzie's pelvis? Is her pelvis hanging off the bolster? Where's the tailbone in respect to the bolster? Yes, my tailbone is point. It wasn't 100% here because by the time I got all the way up there, my pelvis was a little bit more flat than
But it's
ideally. But ideally, the pelvis is a tiny bit looking over towards the floor.
exactly like the previous pose.
The simple back bend, yeah.
It's the pubic bone is moving down a little bit, and that ripples up. When the pelvis does that, it facilitates the back bend in the rest of the back.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay, let me.
yeah,
What do you like about Stonehenge, Mom? Talk to us a little bit about this pose as we're setting it up.
it only takes a bolster and two blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you may want to cover up, you may want to have an eye bag, but in order to create the structure, and it's simple, it's not difficult to remember, to understand. You can put your legs up on a couch and do a very close facsimile of it. In this pose, I want your heels hanging down a little bit, so that may mean you don't use the tallest blocks. You have to adjust your body proportions to the size of the blocks and the bolster. But basically, what I like about it as a shavasana variation is it really is a deep retreat to the back body. And the back body to me is the unconscious mind. So it's the whole energy of this pose as you go toward the back of your skull, the back of your trunk, the back of your body, and you're not putting any weight on your feet again. So you don't stimulate big muscles to work or act. And when the big
Mm.
muscles really let go, it's so much easier to drop into the present moment.
Mm. Okay, I like that.
It's mainly I just like it for its simplicity.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to show two embellishments that feel really nice. In this pose, I'm going to wrap a blanket around my trunk, and I'm also going to put a sandbag on my low belly. So see what those look like. Knees are supported. Put the blocks. I like to put the blocks right underneath my legs, behind the knees, so there's no droop in the bolster. And then as I come down, I'm going to place a blanket around here and tuck it in. Feels really nice. And then I'm taking a sandbag and putting it on my low belly, right where my thighs become belly.
So
Just
when you wrap that blanket like that around the back of your knees and the back of your legs, you didn't realize you were craving that.
Mm-mm.
It fulfills a need you didn't know you had. It feels warm. You can also cover up with another blanket, but it also feels protected in an interesting way. Do you find that, Lizzie?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
feel protected. You feel held. So notice that her heels are slightly below her knees. Yeah. I must say, I'm watching the pictures of many of you, and I'm very pleased and impressed with the accuracy in my book, my value, my opinion of your setups. Because these setups in restorative yoga are not just willy nilly, just throw props at it. They have an intrinsic, organic proportionality that is instantly recognized by the nervous system as safety. Feel your back body. How it's supported well by the floor and the props. It is a moment of not only inviting stillness, but this moment contains within it the potential for you to become stillness physically, emotionally. There is not even calmness, there is just the still lake. It's almost as if calmness is an action, that you do not need even calmness. This pose contains within it a great potential for mental stillness. And you can do that by feeling the weight of the skin, the weight of the air on the skin, the weight of the pressure of the body on the floor. And notice the virtual stillness of the breath. Notice yourself noticing shavasana. Inhale the breath. Let it go. Become aware of now. Let it go. And as you're ready, roll to the side, or perhaps you just want to stay there. We're about to end, but you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay in your pose until the body tells you to come out. If you're coming out, let the head be almost the last thing that comes up. From the pelvis up the body. And now the head floats. Turn your palms away from the body. Inhale the breath. Exhaling, bring the palms together in front of the heart. Namaste.
Namaste.
So forgive yourself and everyone right now. Just for this moment, forgive everyone. Thank you, Lizzie.